I am so honored and privileged to be here today among so many of my friends and colleagues who have spoken and will speak as we await the results of the upcoming sham presidential elections in Iran. It is important to understand the current situation. As a state sponsor of terrorism, the Iranian regime continues to support rogue regimes like Syria, sending in arms, fighters, and money to support the Assad regime as it continues to butcher its own people. Meanwhile, every day is getting us closer to a nuclear-capable Iran, an unacceptable scenario for the United States and for our allies. Now it is clear that the administration's approach in dealing with Iran has resulted in failure. All diplomatic efforts to end this crisis have gotten us nowhere and only has given Tehran more time to further its nuclear ambitions. And instead of supporting the Iranian people's desire for democratic reforms during the 2009, what did the administration do? They stood idly by and missed the opportunity to help bring real change to Iran. By not helping the opposition in 2009, we missed an opportunity to help foster a democratic Iran. And just like in 2009, the upcoming elections will be flawed by voting irregularities and human rights violations. The administration must be prepared to support the democratic forces opposing the regime, because there will be a similar uprising, and we hope that it is soon. And I'm worried, as all of you are here, about the deteriorating situation in Camp Liberty. I'm disappointed that our State Department has not had a serious plan to resettle the residents 16 months after they were promised quick resettlement. We just, as the defenseless Iranian dissidents living in Camp Liberty face hardships and face security threats. The Iraqi government and the United Nations are either unwilling or incapable of providing sufficient protection to these residents. I have also written, as you know, several letters to high-ranking Iraqi and UN officials condemning all attacks on the residents and raising concerns about the poor safety and the terrible living conditions for these residents. I have also met with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Antonio Guterres, to reiterate our strong commitment to keeping the residents protected while seeking a viable solution to this humanitarian crisis and urging the safe return to Camp Ashraf. They want to go back to Camp Ashraf. They don't want to stay in Camp Liberty. They have been prepared to pay all moving costs and all costs related to this relocation. And in order to help my fellow members become more aware and make them more aware of this humanitarian crisis that is going on in the camp in Iraq, I have co-sponsored Judge Ted Poe's bill, House Resolution 98. Thanks to your efforts, now has 86 co-sponsors, and it calls, as you know, for the relocation of the residents back to Camp Ashraf, where they have more protection from future attacks, and it calls on the Iraqi government to uphold the Memorandum of Understanding to provide humanitarian protections to the residents. They have promised that they would do this, and yet they have not lived up to that promise. And I have also moved Judge Poe's bill, House Resolution 98, favorably out of our subcommittee and to the full committee, where it awaits discussion, debate, and what I'm sure will be a full passage. But with time running out, I urge my colleagues in the Congress and the Obama administration and the State Department, all agencies, to come together to seek a prompt solution to this humanitarian crisis in the making. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your activism. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making us aware of the deplorable situation that these brave and innocent people are undergoing.
I just would like to make sure that I am on record for this briefing that we have made some progress, but we have better keep our guard up, or that progress will disappear. And there are people who just want this, the MEK issue to go away. And it's not going to just go away, because we're talking about human beings. We're talking about brave human beings who have been targeted by a vicious dictatorship. And we're talking about also as to what that dictatorship, what's going to happen to those people in that dictatorship. Meaning, if we just give up on a large group of human beings and say that they can be brutalized and murdered, and whoever shot rockets into Camp Liberty were murderers, if we can just ignore that, what is that going to say to the people who made the decision to launch those rockets? Basically, you're saying murdering innocent or unarmed people is acceptable, and we're not going to cause you any problems for it. So we need to make sure that we continue our diligence. We have, congratulations to all of you for making sure that this issue is first and foremost here and not forgotten. I would have to say we've got to make sure that that any atrocities committed against them, that anybody committing those atrocities will be held accountable. Some of you may know that the Deputy Secretary of State was testifying before our committee, and when I brought the issue up of Camp Liberty, what did we get? Read the record. I mean, what we have is someone telling us that they're more concerned about trying to basically have good relations with the mullahs, and that all the problems that we face are the problems created by the MEK. The MEK and then I, of course, mention it, put it on the record. Well, then what you're doing here is blaming the victims rather than holding accountable the criminals who are committing the act. We can't let people get away with it. We have to speak with one voice. We're going to continue this struggle, but let's hope that at least the Camp Liberty part of our struggle ends with a very positive note. Let's get rid of the mullah regime in Iran and have a democratic Iran, and so that we can forget that and we can all live at peace, and the people of Iran will be better off, and the world will be better off. So we got two goals, one specific, one general. Let's work at it in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you all very much. Well, look, it's well known that Prime Minister Maliki kicked me out of Iraq the last time I was there. And but you know, sometimes it's really an honor to be kicked out of a country by somebody like that. And just because the man is prime minister doesn't mean he's not a toady for a group of gangsters in Iran, and because that's what it comes down to. I mean, the bottom line is, instead of standing up for democracy, here we $1 trillion and 5,000 lives that we gave, and we end up with what? We end up with a man who has formed an alliance with a group of gangsters that hate America. Well, we should not tolerate his ingratitude and his value system in which he ends up siding with these type of people in Iran who are then oppress their own people. So, but it's also an honor for me to work with you to make sure that those guys don't have the influence in this world. So thank you all very much.
Well, good afternoon. I rushed over here to be with all of you as you hold this briefing on the upcoming Iranian elections. We know that we always have to raise our voices because there is no real democracy in Iran. And let's not forget what happens when Iranians speak out against their government. And so we can see that that freedom and human rights, the very principles upon which our great nation is based, are demands for which Iranians gave their lives. And Iranians throughout the country are arrested and even killed just because they disagree with the ruling party. And of course, PMOI in Iran are singled out for persecution. And of course, in Iraq, we know that Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty residents are targets and always have been. It was only months ago when the most horrible thing happened. Dozens of rockets fired on Camp Liberty, 7 unarmed residents killed and over 100 more wounded, some suffering severe and life-threatening injuries. These men and women died for what they believed. So as Iran prepares for the elections next week, we are reminded that we must protect those who refuse to abandon their beliefs in the face of obstacles. We can and must do better before the next attack. And that's why I am a co-sponsor of House Resolution 89 that calls on the President to relocate and resettle Ashraf residents. That's why I join you in urging the UN and the State Department to act now. Let's protect their safety. Thank you.